Alright, this has been a really popular request lately because people want different frames than the dolls that they get, and I am making a swap today because I figured out that you cannot put a boy bust on an Evolve frame because the shoulders are too narrow, and so I'm switching out an Evolve frame for a G2 frame, and I've done this a couple times but never for my own dolls, so I figured I'd record it so you could see what goes into it. I'm gonna pause, and you guys won't notice the pause, but I'm gonna pause the recording occasionally so I can let the pieces heat up because my box is only so big. But I'm gonna show all of the parts, and then eventually at the end I hope to have a pear with a G2 frame and a classic with the Evolve frame. Right. I have had the arms sitting in here getting warm for a little bit, so I'm going to start with them. You don't actually need it to be warm to do that. You do need it to get that vinyl off. And so that I can keep track of which side is which, even though they are labeled, I'm going to keep it very organized as I work. I want this to stay warm so I can put it on the G2 frame. Gentle twisting. Exactly what you came off of. That doesn't make any sense. And also, this is going to be a boy, so obviously that's an old hand, which is kind of hard. Come off now? Yeah, there we go. There we go. That arm's handled. I don't need this hand. Actually, I'm not sure if I want to use this arm yet or this arm. But if I use this arm, I need to put a hammer kit on it. So I'm curious how this looks. Yeah, there's a gap. So I think that I'm going to put the macho arm on here. But to do that, I need to put a hammer kit on it. Otherwise, it's going to be floating around in there, and that's annoying. Hammer kits, I get them from S&D Expertin, and they are amazing. It bridges that gap between the arm and the frame, so you don't have the problem of, the arm wiggling around in there all the time. But I need to super glue it. So we'll get that super glued and curing, and I'll work on the other arm so I can do the same to that. And my glue is a little old. It should still work. It's just going to be tacky putting it on. When you do this, you want to just put it on the outside of the frame. I hate it when it's tacky. It just wants to make strings. Slide it up there. And then we're going to let that cure, so I can hang up here. Let's swap the other arms. Those are milk hands, but you know, that's what I got for now. Alright, let's get the other hammer kit glued on. Hopefully the glue isn't too dry. I'm going to end up coming back to these at the very end of the build because I want this to dry for a while before I try and force the arms on and then dislodge the hammer kits. Because that's not going to be very helpful, and I'll have to just do it all over again. There we go. I want to make sure it's straight. Okay, they're going to dry. I don't need this in here anymore. I'm going to pause the video because I am going to... Well, first I'll take these guys, their legs off. And these are both female bodies, so the only one that I need to worry about the feet is the Gen 2 frame, because I have boy feet over here that I'm going to switch out, because I'm turning the pear into a guy. However, the other feet, the evolved feet, can just hang out, because they're going right back onto a body for a girl. Right. Okay, well that came off without me even trying. Tucks in there really good. Not what I intended to do. See what it is. I'm going to heat this up. The opening's a little small, and so it's getting caught in there, and so that's why the legs gave way before it came off the thighs. So, I'm going to move this and make room. These are already warm though, so I'll pop these off and make the switch. I didn't realize she had a little foam thing in there. I eventually want to give this guy legs, but I do not currently have extras. So in the meantime, he's going to continue to use these. Because even girl legs are better than none. hands are sweaty. This is still not soft enough for me to pull it off. So, I'll put this back in here. And I'm just going to pause the video while I wait for it to heat up. Be back. Alright. Let's see if these have heated up enough for us to work some magic. Where are you? Not in the way. Oh. Better shaking, that's why. Let's see if we can pull these lower legs up. There's so much stuff in this box. There we go. And as a bonus, there's a thigh. And there's the other thigh. These will have to stay here. As long as I'm here. Screwdriver. Here. The Evolve's the easy part of this. Taking the port plug out of the Gen 2, that's more of a challenge. Over here for now. Meantime, let's put these on. There we go. If I can get this out. One of my cinnamon guy feet was using a milk frame, and it didn't really matter because it was sitting on 6, not, you know. Anyway, however, if I actually have cinnamon foot frames, which I do, I would much rather they matched. Around in here and foot in a moment. Turn around. Yes, there we go. Part of the reason I want to eventually get him male lower legs is the pear legs are actually a little bit shorter, and so he's going to have a gap in the ankle. Now, my guys don't usually show off legs, so I don't really care, but I do like them to be complete, even if you can't really see it. So, that is my eventual goal, is find him some lower legs. Dig out that other foot. Let's frog the frame out of this one. There we go. We have 2 legs for the guy, ready to go. I'll let them dry a little bit longer. I'm not ready to put those on yet. Okay. He's gonna hang out in here. This, alright, to get a spine out of a Gen 2 like this, you will never get this port back out without destroying it. And the reason being is because there's teeth. I don't have a spare one over there sitting, but yes, so there's teeth. And the teeth make it so it doesn't want to come back out. The easiest way to do it is get the vinyl really, really warm, and then pop the port out. Looks like this is probably a CJ built body, so it's going to be a little harder to get these thighs off than one I've built, because I usually cut myself a little bit extra gap in the thighs. But if we can get the port plug out, then that'll be easier. I am going to let this do its thing for a little while in front of the heater. Pause the thing, and I'll come back again when it's a little warmer. I'll show you guys how to get that spine out. Alright, be back. Alright, give my hands a little bit of a break. Let's try to get this plug out. Okay. So again, yeah, it's soft enough. You literally have to stretch the vinyl. Can I get the frame out though? I think they started gluing the spines in. Because the last time, yeah, I can't get that out. Alright, so what we're going to have to do, what I had to do the last time, is I'm going to have to take apart one of the thighs. I hate doing this. This won't be simple. But this is why frame swap's not just, oh, I'll just go swap the frame. It doesn't work that way. I don't think these thighs are warm enough. There. That's still gluing. It's getting closer, but not quite. What I'll probably end up having to do is trim the vinyl a little bit. Because getting the thighs off of the Gen 2 frame, quite difficult. Seeing how soft it is. Torso's nice and soft. The legs are a little less so. I'm not sure why they started gluing the spines in. But again, I don't know if I never had a reason to take apart a Gen 2 girl before. I mean, not before today. I mean, before the last time I had to do this. Let me do it from the back. I don't know if I will be able to, though. getting that warm again. Yeah, I can touch it, so it is not warm enough. I am going to let this heat up for a little bit. I'm going to pause it again so you guys don't have to wait for that. Alright. It's sufficiently hot, I need my gloves, so let's see if we can get these thighs off now. There's one. And if I only needed to take off one, that'd be great, but I do need to take off both because this entire frame is going over to a different body. So, let's see if I can get the other one off, or if I need to let that heat up on its own. I think I can get it. The vinyl does cool down really fast, but I don't think it's cool down so fast I can't get it off. Glad I trimmed my nails earlier because I definitely would have bent back a nail by now. Alright. I don't like to do this, but trim back some of the vinyl. Oof! Hands are a little tired, can you tell? Frame swaps are not for the faint of heart or weak of hands. So I don't do frame swaps for free. And this is why. I thought that the body that I grabbed was actually one of my builds, but it was not. This is a CJ one, which apparently they glue in the spines, which means that you cannot just pull the spine out and then take it apart easy peasy. But I have figured out how to do it. So, alright. Taking apart an Evolve body, nice and easy. Taking apart a Gen 2, not. This is not soft enough. It cooled down a little bit while I had it out. For the sake of my hands, I'm going to let it heat up a little bit. And we will pause it and come back again in a few moments. Let's get the second thigh off. Alright, next I need to remove one of these. You gotta be very careful. The screwdriver you've got has good grip on the screw, because if you strip out the screw, you're not getting it back together. all these are pretty much the same, but some of them have bigger heads and don't reach inside of the frame very well. Again, I want to avoid stripping anything. So I'm going to switch my screwdrivers so I don't strip it. I really need to get new screwdrivers, but I just haven't done it. There. Off. And now I can just send it through. Still not the easiest thing to do, but there you go. Okay. Now, yeah, like, that's not budging at all. I'm pretty sure they super glued it. Now, this torso is nice and hot and squishy, so I'm going to force this port plug in there, and then I'll screw the hip back on. Trying to find it. Ah, that's hot. This torso has been in there the entire time I was messing with the other one. It's great that it's hot, because you need it to be like super, super squishy. At the same time, ouch. I do find the bottom is harder to put in later, so if you put the bottom in first and then pull the top, it usually works out better. So the vinyl to slip underneath. And you may wonder, why didn't I just take out the port plug and replace it with a new one? Good luck finding new ones. They aren't making this frame anymore, so you're pretty much stuck with what you've got. There you go. A whole lot of torquing and forcing, but we got it in there. And now, put this back together. Now, I have actually built a pear doll using a Gen 2 frame before, so this is not my first time doing it. This is the first one I'm keeping, But this is a rodeo I have done before. That kept, sorry, that one I knew that the legs would be shorter because of when I built it, what that one turned out like. But that's another reason why I knew, even before I did this, I wanted to try and get boy legs. Can't get my hand behind it. There we go. This is just as awkward as it looks, but this is how you have to do it, especially when they've glued that spine to the hips. Make sure these are nice and tight, because I don't want his hip to be floppy. There we go. Alright. Now, it's definitely more spacious in there than it was with the Evolve frame, but this should still work out just fine. I'll let that cool down. First, let me make sure I put this in here, right? Pretty sure I did. Yes. So, the Evolve frame, you gotta make sure this is in the back. This part's in the front. And also, that matches up. That little notch. I learned that the hard way when I took apart and put back together by anomaly. Looks really nice. This is still soft, so let's get that port plug in there. And this one just screws in. Alright. Let me clean this up really fast because I did trims while it was still on the body, and that will bother me if I don't clean it. Make it nice and smooth. There you go. I'm going to make sure that on that second leg it's actually over in the back, because the Evolve frame's a little different. There we go. Now it's on. It may look like it's on, but you have to double check and make sure it's actually on both sides of that. Get this in there while the vinyl is still soft. she uses an extra small dust. There we go. That body's done. Now, yeah, these are nice and solid. Let's get the hammer kits in the arms. And I get that frame piece on the Laurel. Don't need the heat anymore. However, I do need a little bit of grease. At a right angle. I always hold the one arm, frame in my fingers, hold the rest of the arm, and then I'm lining it up on the inside. And then just push until you hear it click. And we're in. Double check to make sure your hammer kit's still in place. Yes, it is. Let's get the other one. Alright, again. Hold it with the arm peg between your fingers, line it up inside. There we go. 2 arms. Let's get the legs on. Get that out of here before I cut myself, because that's exactly what I do. Now I have to decide, probably should have done it before I put the spine in, but that's okay, if I want to make this taller. Thinking at this time, no, because I do have the tools to turn a girl spine into a boy spine. I think at this time I'm going to leave it the way it is, although I do like them to be taller, just because I know that there's going to be a gap if I do it. Because at the end of the day, this is still a girl torso. Well, let's get those arms in. This is probably one of the most unconventional custom bodies I've made, but I'm pretty happy with it. Oh yeah, if I'd made the spine even taller, then there would have been more of a gap, so I'm glad I did not. Okay, those arms are all the way. There you go. So, obviously, I was not aiming to just make a Gen 2 pear girl. I have Gen 2 pear guy. And then now I have classic girl who has the evolved frame, where she came with the Gen 2. Yeah, I like how that turned out. I feel like it could be a little bit closer, but I really do like where it ended up. And with clothes, you're not going to be able to tell. So, and I'm also excited because that means he is taller than she is. These two, and the characters I made these bodies for, this is Cypha. Cypha I've had for a while. And then this is her friend Barry, who is taller and bigger. So, I think that works out. It makes me happy. Now, I will get them dressed, and Barry needs a head. But that's something for later. So, thanks for tuning in. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop comments, and I'm happy to explain anything. However, I will caution you, if you want to do a frame swap, they're not easy. So, be prepared. Alright, take care.